As we saw yesterday, one of the most important things that the Gita bestows us with is dynamism, energy, the zest for life. And unfortunately, our misunderstanding of the Gita is so rampant that we believe that the Gita is meant for retirees, for old people who have nothing better to do in life. They should study the Gita. It's a dynamic prescription for living meant for the youth, for the young. Today you find the young people don't have energy, never mind old. The other day a young girl from a university student came to me and said, I have no energy. I said, no energy? At your age? She says, yeah, I feel tired all the time. What do you do? Nothing. Dynamism, that energy, that zest for living is something that comes from setting aside our selfishness, setting aside our self-interest, setting aside our obsession with just I, me and myself. There are three types of actions that we perform. One is selfish, self-centered interests in life, which we are all familiar with. If at all we are enthused about any action, it is because we perceive a return for ourselves. Whether real or imaginary is a different thing. And if there is no return for us, we are not interested in that action. We do not perform action. When action is polluted by thought of self, you lose this energy, you lose dynamism. You are unenthusiastic. So, to regain this invigoration, this vitality, this energy, and the deep motivation, enthusiasm, intoxication for work, we must set aside our selfish, self-centered interests. So the second category is where you are performing unselfish action. Unselfish action is that where you dedicate your actions to the welfare of somebody, something, some entity beyond yourself. The higher the goal to which you dedicate your actions, the greater is your dynamism, greater the zest, greater the creativity and innovation in life. And therefore it is that this message of the Bhagavad Gita is extremely important in corporate life, in government life, in the life of a doctor, a lawyer, a chartered accountant. Across the board this is effective. It is not meant for the jobless, the message of the Gita. It is meant for those who are in active life, like all of us. And the third is selfless. So let's see what they are briefly. Selfish action is, as we said, an obsession with just I, me, myself. Why is it that we're so obsessed with ourselves? Because we are constantly experiencing a sense of deficiency, a sense of lack. We feel we don't have enough in life. And therefore, why will you think of others when you feel you yourself are poverty-stricken? We're constantly haunted by a sense of deprivation. We have what is known as deficiency motivation. I don't have this and therefore I will go out and work to get it. As against this, when you move to the next higher level of action, unselfish action is one that is driven by a sense of abundancy, a sense of fullness. When you become acutely aware of all the things that you have received in life, most of which are free. You must understand the most valuable things in life have come to you for free, unasked for, unacknowledged. And compared to what you have received, what you don't have is so insignificant it's not even worth thinking about. And yet, Our distorted, deviated vision of life is such that we completely disregard all that we have received, the millions and millions of things that have been bestowed on us, and we focus on one thing, one or two things, that most of which are imaginary. You imagine that you don't have. And you're driven mad by this imaginary sense of lack, deprivation. So, a person who performs selfish action feels he never has enough. A person who is motivated by unselfishness feels he can never do enough to repay for what he has received. What a difference in attitude. When are we going to wake up to that sense of abundance? Abundance is spread everywhere. The fact that you're not able to see it means there's something very, very wrong with our attitude in life. And shift that. Don't say, I'll wait till I grow old, wait till for another 10 years, wait till I get a Mercedes, then I'll think of unselfishness. There is no time. There is no time. Time is running out for all of us. And the quicker we awaken to this sense of abundance that we have, to this sense of indebtedness, the happier we'll be. More importantly, you see, the thing is, the more unselfish you become, the more energetic you become, the more vibrant you become, the more enthusiastic and invigorated you are in action. Every moment of your life you're looking forward to work. And therefore, you become successful. You gain more wealth, you gain more name, fame and all the rest of it, which you're not looking for. You're performing action only out of a sense of indebtedness. The third, and you see, this is why in the Indian culture, when you give a gift, when you give cash to somebody, what do? How much do you put? You put 101 or 501 or 1001, right? The other day an American asked me, what is this, why this strange thing, an odd figure, why do you put 1? So there's a deep philosophy behind it, there's a very fine sentiment behind it. I don't know whether you know it. The sentiment behind it is that my heart says that I would love to give much more than what I'm giving you now. But my resources are limited, therefore I give that 1 extra to signify that this is not the end of what I'm giving you, this is only the beginning and I would love to give you more and more and more. What a fine feeling. And it is this feeling that fulfills the person, not what you give. What can you give to anybody? From unselfishness, when you move to selflessness, you see, in the state of unselfishness, you have set aside your selfish desires and you're concentrating on something higher. You're looking at people who are less privileged than you and you're working for them. As you work unselfishly, you reach a stage where you understand that there is some divine power that has created this universe, the whole world, all the beings in the world. And that power has created so much perfection, so much abundance in the world that nobody needs your help. Nobody in the world needs your help, because that divine power has bestowed the same abundance on everybody else that he has bestowed on you. And yet a person, even in spite of understanding that nobody needs your help, you continue to work with dedication, with devotion. Not because you believe anyone needs your help, but because you believe you need to serve. So you work with the attitude, thank you for giving me an opportunity to serve. This is selflessness. So you want to express your gratitude. An outstanding example of this selflessness is Sudama. When Sudama was sent on a mission by his wife to Krishna to ask for some help because they were in dire straits, they were in utter poverty. Sudama went on the request of his wife. But even as he went, before he left, he did not experience deprivation, he did not experience want. He only experienced a sense of thanksgiving. He said, I'm meeting my dear friend Krishna after many years. How can I go empty-handed to him? He is going on a mission to ask for help. And his first and last thought is, how can I serve Krishna? What can I give to Krishna? So he asked his wife to make some poha, what do you call it here? Beaten rice. And because he loved it. That's the only thing he could think of giving Krishna was something that he liked. And he took it with him. And when he met Krishna, Krishna did not say, what can I do for you? Krishna said, hey, you've come after so many years, what have you brought for me? This is not because Krishna wanted something from Sudama, this is because he knew that Sudama could not have come to ask for anything. And he takes out what he had brought, that little bundle, to give him. And Krishna relished it. Krishna ate it with so much relish as if he had been starving for days together. And yet Krishna was in the lap of luxury. One of the bhajans that the young lady here sang just now was about Shabari. How Shabari tasted every berry and gave it to Rama. And Ram ate it with so much relish. So this concept of abundance, where you give out of a sense of thanksgiving, you give out of a feeling with the full knowledge that there is nothing in the world that you can give anybody. You know that you can't add to anybody's happiness. You know you cannot remove from anybody, you can't add unhappiness either. And yet you're doing it out of this tremendous sense of gratitude. When are we going to inculcate the sense of gratitude? When are we going to inculcate the sense of indebtedness? In our culture, in our country nowadays, however much we have, there is just more that we want. And right through our lives, from birth to death, janma after janma, life after life, all that we are concerned with is, I want more and more and more. And it is because of this sense of more that you get caught in the spiral of life and death, of depression, of want, of deprivation. Even as you are, I don't know any of you, but I can say this with confidence, that even as you are, every one of us is rich, so abundant, that we can not only take care of ourselves, we can take care of the whole world with our abundance. Abundance of heart is what we're talking about, not abundance of material resources. That can come and go, that's not the point. So, selfish, unselfish, selfless. As you go up the ladder, you become an embodiment of energy, of vitality. And the returns that you get are enormous. Sudama got the return. He wasn't looking for it, he got it. And this is what the Gita says. You pursue the principles of the Bhagavad Gita without expecting any return. The returns you'll get will be way beyond your expectation, way beyond your imagination. In the 13th chapter of the Gita, Krishna himself says, gives the role of God in different kinds of people. And he says, in a person who's performing negative activity, the role of Atman is that of Upadrashta, witness. God simply watches what you're doing. As you become more unselfish, he becomes Anumanta, permitter. He allows you to do whatever it is that you want to do. And later he becomes Bharta, filler. It's amazing how it happens. You know, it's like this. You put 1,000 rupees in your bank and God puts 99,000 rupees. Wouldn't you like it? That's exactly what happens to an unselfish person. Help comes from the heavens, as it were. Simple thing. You know, when you go out for personal work, you find that there are so many obstacles. One of the things is you may not find parking space and you go around in circles looking for parking. This happens in Bombay, I'm sure it happens here also. But when you're going for somebody else's work, when you're going to help someone else, incredibly, right before the building that you want to go, parking space appears. So it's like this, when you're performing some unselfish activity, it's as if God plays the role of bharta, filler. And then you become bhokta, the enjoyer. As long as you are selfish, you cannot enjoy anything that you acquire. Please remember that. True enjoyment comes only out of unselfishness. And the last is you become Maheshwara, Supreme Lord. So this is dynamism. The second thing we spoke of is happiness. What is happiness? We're all chasing happiness. All over the world, every single human being, every single living being for that matter, is chasing happiness. Do you know where happiness lies? Do you know what constitutes happiness? Do you know where and how to get that happiness? The Bhagavad Gita gives us a simple formula for happiness. In these 6 days, if you don't remember anything, that's assuming you come for the 6 days. Please don't forget this formula for happiness. The formula for happiness is happiness equals number of desires actualized, fulfilled, divided by number of desires harbored, entertained. Just for a moment, if you accept this formula, if you want to increase your happiness, what must you do? Either increase the number of desires fulfilled, actualized, which means either increase the numerator or reduce the denominator. What are we doing? Our full-time attention and occupation is on the numerator. How do I increase the desires that increase the fulfillment of the desires that I'm entertaining? We're all engaged in this activity. Is our happiness increasing? Yes, no? No. Why? Because without our realizing it, the denominator also increases. Nowadays you have these fancy malls, right? Suppose you decide you want a pair of shoes. There's nothing criminal about that. You need a pair of shoes. You go to the mall to buy a pair of shoes. You go there to the shoe shop, you buy the pair of shoes, and as you're coming out, you find the displays are so fabulous in the mall that as you walk across, you say, wow, isn't that nice? What are you looking at? Something else. So you've acquired one more desire. You fulfilled one desire, and as you're passing along, you've acquired one more desire. You take 10 steps further, you see something else that's tantalizing. Second desire added on. Like that, by the time you exit that mall, what has happened? You have fulfilled one desire, but you've picked up 10 more desires. As a result, your happiness has shrunk. And this is what is happening to us all the time. So therefore, in fact, if you look at this formula, the numerator is irrelevant. It doesn't matter how many desires you fulfill. Your happiness will not increase unless you focus on the denominator. If somehow, by some method, you are able to contain the denominator, reduce the denominator, your happiness increases in leaps and bounds. It constantly goes on increasing. And if somehow you're able to bring the denominator down to zero, what happens? Infinite happiness. That is exactly what you're looking for. Now mind you, the Gita does not say you should not have objects of desire. You can have as many objects as you want. Only thing you must not have is Sorry? Desire. Objects of desire you can have, don't have desire. In fact, as long as you are desiring a particular object or being, somehow the object seems to turn its back on you. The moment you come to terms with it and say, oh, it doesn't matter, even out of frustration, if you give up the desire, instantly the object of desire comes to you. Practice it. So, therefore, the method of getting desire is to set aside your selfish desires and work for the welfare of others. As you go up the ladder, as you cultivate higher quality of desires, the number of desires reduce. If you are genuinely working for the welfare of your family, to that extent your personal desires diminish. You spread your circle of interest and work for your countrymen, and you find that your personal desires reduce, but your happiness increases. How does your happiness increase? If any Indian anywhere in the world does well, benefits, prospers, you feel so much happiness, as much or more than he himself feels, without having to work for it, without having to go through the trauma and anguish that he has had to go through to acquire whatever he has acquired. So the payoff is enormous. The concept that the Gita puts forward is Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. What a wonderful concept. To revel, to enjoy, to get excited in the welfare of all beings. The more you are able to synchronize with this thought, align with this thought, the greater is your happiness. The next thing that the Gita endows us with is strength. What kind of strength are we looking at? There are three kinds of strength. Bahubala. Bahubala means the strength that can, literally it means strength of the arms, physical force, material force. The strength, the power that comes out of wealth, power, position, etc. But one step higher than that is what they refer to as buddhibala. Buddhibala is the power of love, the power of your thinking. Today we are in an age of knowledge capital. A person who has the knowledge, buddhibala, is master. Right? Not the person with the money. The person with the means, the knowledge with which he can leverage to gain success. The power of love is something that we need to understand. You reach out to people, understand them, appreciate them, have affection for them. By God, you develop power. Every politician should understand the power of love. Every leader must understand the power of love. But the last, the most powerful, supreme power that you get is Atma Bala. And this Atma Bala, the power of the spirit, the power of Atman, is accessible to each one of us. Every one of us has it. If only we tap into this infinite source of power and energy, you don't need anything else. What it means is a spiritually evolved person is one who has tremendous power. He may not have money, he may not have resources, he may not have a following, he may not have anything. But the sheer power of Atman puts him right on top of the world. So you decide now what kind of strength you want, what power you want. Therefore, Vedanta is what we call as the eye-to-eye technology, ideas to implementation. It gives you the capacity to be creative, innovative, think of powerful ideas and have the strength to carry it through to implementation. Therefore, you become a successful individual. It also is the other eye-to-eye technology. It takes you from the small, limited individual that you believe yourself to be to that supreme power, Atman, that you really are. With this, we move to verse 7.
Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Whenever dharma, righteousness declines,